Imagine for a moment that you are a farmer. Your job is to grow rice, a plant that needs to be submerged in water to survive. But there is a problem. You don't have flat land. You don't have vast deltas or open plains. Instead, you live on the spine of a dragon. You live on mountain peaks that pierce the clouds, soaring over 5,000 feet into the sky. The slopes here are steep, sometimes at a 45-degree angle. If you pour a bucket of water on the ground, it disappears instantly, rushing down into the abyss below. So, how do you farm here? How do you turn a vertical cliff into a breadbasket that feeds millions? Welcome to northern Vietnam. Welcome to the land of the stairway to heaven. Here, in regions like Mu Tsang Chai and Hong Su Phai, indigenous ethnic minorities have done the impossible. For over 500 years, they have been sculpting the mountains with their bare hands. They haven't just conquered nature. They have partnered with it to create one of the most sophisticated, gravity-defying agricultural systems on Earth. This is not just farming. This is extreme engineering. And today, we are going to uncover the secrets of how rice grows in the clouds. To truly appreciate the genius of these terraces, we must first travel back in time and understand the sheer hostility of this terrain. We are in the Hoang Lien Son mountain range, often called the roof of Indochina. This is not a gentle landscape. It is a fortress of rock, wrapped in thick fog and battered by monsoon winds. In the United States, you might compare this to the ruggedness of the Rockies, but with the humidity of the Amazon rainforest. Centuries ago, roughly 400 to 500 years in the past, waves of migration brought the Hmong, Dao, La Chi, and Nung people from the north into these highlands. When they arrived, they faced a brutal reality. The fertile, flat valleys below were already occupied by the Thai and Kin people. The newcomers were left with the leftovers of geography, the steep, forested slopes that no one else wanted. They had a stark choice. Starve, fight for land they couldn't win, or invent a new way to survive. They chose to invent. They looked at these towering peaks and saw something no one else saw. They didn't see an obstacle. They saw a staircase. But the geology here fights you every step of the way. The soil is rocky and prone to erosion. The slopes are often tilted at 35 to 50 degrees. In modern agriculture, any slope over 15 degrees is considered unfarmable for machinery. Yet, these people decided to farm on near-vertical walls. Different tribes developed different architectural styles for their terraces, almost like signatures carved into the earth. The Hmong people, known for their incredible resilience, often carve their terraces right up to the very summit of the mountain. They leave no land wasted. Their terraces are often narrow, sharp, and rugged, resembling the blade of a knife. The Dao people, on the other hand, often dig their fields slightly lower down, near water sources, and they always leave a cap of thick forest at the very top of the mountain. They understood centuries ago that if you cut the forest at the peak, the water source dries up. This wasn't just farming, it was a massive terraforming project. Imagine trying to carve a flat surface into the side of a steep hill using only a simple hand hoe and the strength of your own back. Now, imagine doing that millions of times, over 5 centuries, stacking them on top of each other like a giant layer cake that stretches all the way to the horizon. From above, they look like giant fingerprints of God pressed into the earth. But make no mistake, these were made by human hands, inch by painful inch. Let's get technical. How do you actually make water, which always wants to flow down, stay put on a slope? Rice is a high-maintenance crop. It is technically a semi-aquatic plant. It demands a paddy, a flooded field where the water level stays consistent, about 2 to 4 inches deep, for months. If the water drains away, the rice dies. If the water sits too deep and becomes stagnant, the roots rot. The solution lies in a masterpiece of hydraulic engineering called the berm. The berm is a small wall of earth that rims the outer edge of each terrace step. It looks like a simple mound of dirt, but constructing it is an art form. The farmers must select specific soil types, usually clay-heavy earth found deep beneath the topsoil. They mix the soil with water and stomp on it. They stomp for hours, sometimes days, kneading the mud like a baker kneads dough, until it reaches a plastic-like consistency. They pack it down, layer by layer, smoothing it with the flat of their hoe until it is completely watertight. This wall has to be strong enough to hold thousands of pounds of water pressure, but flexible enough to expand and contract with the heat without cracking. If just one berm breaks high up on the mountain, it triggers a catastrophic chain reaction. The water from the top step rushes down, gaining speed, smashing through the next wall and the next. A single weak point can wipe out an entire village's food supply for the year. This creates a high-stakes environment where every farmer is responsible for the safety of the neighbor below them. But retaining water is only half the battle. You also have to move it. Unlike the flatlands where you can dig canals, here, the water source is often miles away, hidden deep in the jungle ravines or high waterfalls. The farmers have created an intricate network of gravity-fed irrigation that rivals modern plumbing. They use bamboo pipes, nature's PVC. They split giant bamboo trunks in half to create aqueducts that snake around cliffs and span across gorges. They channel this water down to the very top terrace. Here is where the brilliance happens. They cut a small opening called a mouth in the berm of the top terrace. When that terrace is full to the perfect level, the water spills over, controlled and gentle, into the terrace below. Then to the next and the next. It is a cascading waterfall system. But it's not just physics, it's sociology. Water management here requires a strict social contract. Since the water flows from top to bottom, the farmer at the top holds the power. If they block the flow, the farms below dry up. Therefore, communities have strict unwritten laws. Water must be shared. During droughts, families will take turns opening their sluice gates, ensuring that even the lowest terrace gets a drink. It is a system built on mutual survival. No pumps, no electricity, just gravity, bamboo, and brotherhood. If you visit these mountains in May or June, you will witness a visual phenomenon that photographers call the pouring water season. This is when the first summer monsoons hit the mountains. The dry, cracked earth drinks the rain. The farmers open the bamboo channels and water floods the terraces. Visually, it is breathtaking. The mountain transforms into thousands of giant, stacked mirrors. Because the water is still and shallow, it reflects the sky perfectly. In the morning, the terraces are white with mist. At noon, they are a deep, piercing blue. At sunset, they turn into ribbons of liquid fire, orange, purple, and red. It looks less like a farm and more like a stained glass window stretching across the sky. But for the farmers, this is the season of backbreaking labor. This is extreme agriculture, remember? There are no combines here. There are no John Deere tractors with air-conditioned cabins. No machine has been invented that can climb these slopes without tumbling down. Every inch of this land, thousands of acres, is worked by hand and hoof. Enter the water buffalo. The buffalo is the tank of the terraces. Strong, sure-footed, and incredibly patient, these animals are the engines of the mountain. But they are treated with more respect than any tractor. A farmer will often talk to his buffalo, guiding it with soft clicks and whistles rather than whips. They drag the wooden plows through the thick, heavy mud on narrow ledges. Watching them work is terrifying. Sometimes the terrace is only 3 feet wide, and a single misstep means the buffalo and the farmer could fall hundreds of feet. The trust between man and beast is absolute. Once the soil is churned into a soft, nutrient-rich paste, the planting begins. This is a communal event. Villagers form work exchange groups. Today, 20 neighbors will come to help Farmer A plant his field. Tomorrow, everyone moves to Farmer B's field. It turns labor into a social gathering. You can hear the atmosphere before you see it. The sound of laughter echoes off the canyon walls. The splashing of water. The gossip being traded between rows. Women of the Hmong tribes, dressed in their vibrant, indigo-dyed hemp clothing with intricate embroidery, stand knee-deep in the mud. They are the artists of this canvas. With a rhythm that has been practiced since childhood, they plant the rice seedlings one by one. Pluck, plant, step back, pluck, plant, step back. They do this millions of times. They plant in straight lines without using a ruler, guided only by the eye and instinct. But it's not just work, it's spiritual. Before the first seed is sown, the village shaman performs a ritual to ask the mountain god and the water spirit for permission. They bury a small offering, perhaps a little rice wine and meat, at the water source. They believe that the rice has a soul. If you treat it with respect, it will feed you. If you treat it with arrogance, the crop will fail. As summer rolls on, the green season arrives. The mirrors vanish, replaced by a carpet of emerald velvet. The rice grows tall, drinking the monsoon rains. But the danger isn't over. These mountains are prone to flash floods and landslides. A sudden storm can wash away months of work in an hour. The farmers must be vigilant, acting as constant guardians. They sleep in small huts right on the fields to watch for leaks in the berms or wild boars coming to steal the grain. They practice a form of organic farming by necessity. They often raise carp fish right inside the flooded rice paddies. It is a brilliant example of permaculture. The fish eat the pests and mosquito larvae that attack the rice. The fish waste fertilizes the soil. The rice provides shade for the fish. It is a perfect, closed-loop ecosystem. Then comes September, the golden season. This is the payoff. The emerald green turns into a brilliant, glowing yellow. The air is thick, heavy with the sweet, nutty scent of ripening grain. From a distance, the mountains look like they are draped in flowing ribbons of liquid gold. Now, you might wonder about the yield. In the flat Mekong Delta, machines can harvest tons of rice per hour. Here, the yield is much lower, but the value is significantly higher. This isn't just ordinary white rice. The varieties grown here, like the famous Sang Siu or the Khao Mang sticky rice, are legendary. They grow slowly in the cool mountain air, which concentrates their flavor. The grain is rounder, chewier, and has a fragrance that smells like warm milk and wild flowers. Harvesting here is an epic physical feat. Every stalk is cut by hand with a small sickle. The grain is threshed right there on the narrow terrace, often by beating the bundles against a wooden box. Then the heavy sacks, weighing up to 100 pounds, are carried on human backs. Farmers hike up and down these vertical slopes, carrying the weight of their survival. But what happens to this gold after it's brought home? It becomes art. It becomes the center of a feast that rivals any Thanksgiving dinner. Let's talk about the food, because this is where the culture truly tastes like magic. The most iconic dish is 5-colored sticky rice. This is not food coloring. The Hmong and Thai women go into the forest to find specific leaves and roots. They use the magenta plant to create a deep, vibrant purple. Wait for the GAC fruit to make a fiery red. Turmeric roots provide a sunny yellow, and burned bamboo ash creates a striking black rice. They steam these colors separately and arrange them on a platter. It represents the 5 elements of the universe: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Red corresponds to fire and passion. Yellow is earth and prosperity. Black is water and mystery. Eating it is like consuming the harmony of the cosmos. Or perhaps they will make bamboo tube rice. This is the ultimate fast food of the mountains. They pack the fresh, wet rice into young bamboo tubes, seal the ends with banana leaves, and roast them over an open fire. As the bamboo burns, the water inside the stalk boils and steams the rice. When you peel away the charred bamboo, the rice inside is encased in a thin, white film from the bamboo lining. Tastes sweet, woody, and smoky. Dip it in a little sesame salt, and you have a flavor that no Michelin star restaurant can replicate. But before anyone takes a bite, there is gratitude. This is the time of the new rice festival. Every family sets up an altar. They don't just pray to a distant god. They invite the soul of the rice to come home. They believe that during the harvest, the rice spirit might have been scared away by the sickles and the threshing. So they must call it back to the granary, ensuring it stays safe for the winter. The elder of the house will sacrifice a chicken or a pig. They pour rice wine, a potent, clear liquor distilled from the very grain they just harvested, onto the floor as an offering. This festival is the heartbeat of the community. After the prayers, the music starts. You will hear the sound of the ken, a bamboo pipe instrument that sounds like wind rushing through a forest. Young men dance while playing the ken to impress the young women. It is a time of courtship, of storytelling, and of rest after 6 months of grueling labor. Why do they do it? Why farm in such a difficult, extreme environment when the modern world offers easier paths? Why not move to the city? For the ethnic minorities of Vietnam's northern highlands, these terraces are not just a food source. They are a cultural identity. They are the physical manifestation of their history. Every terrace step you see represents a grandfather, a grandmother, or a great-grandfather who carved that specific piece of earth with their own hands. They are walking on the bones and the sweat of their ancestors. To abandon the terrace is to abandon their family. There is a philosophy here that the West is only just beginning to relearn, a concept called regenerative agriculture. Modern industrial farming often fights nature, flattening hills, pumping chemicals, forcing the land to yield more than it can give. But here, the farmers don't force the mountain to be something it's not. They don't flatten the mountain. They shape themselves to fit the mountain. They don't deplete the soil. They nourish it with the ecosystem of the forest and the water. However, this ancient way of life is facing a new, invisible threat. As the world warms, the rains are becoming unpredictable. The pouring water season sometimes comes too late or too violent, causing landslides that wipe out centuries of work in seconds. And then there is the allure of the modern world. Many young people are leaving the mountains to work in factories in the cities, leaving behind aging parents to tend to these massive staircases. There is a real fear that one day, these terraces might return to the forest, not because the land failed, but because there were no hands left to hold the hoe. That is why these images are so important. They are a testament to human will. In a world facing climate change, soil erosion, and food insecurity, these ancient sky farmers hold a lesson for us all. They teach us that we don't need to conquer nature to survive. We need to dance with it. We need to listen to the water, respect the soil, and understand that we are part of the cycle, not the masters of it. Today, rice terraces like Mu Tsang Chai are recognized as national heritage sites. Photographers and tourists flock from all over the world to see what they call the Fingerprints of God. But when you watch the drone footage of these majestic golden curves, try to look past the beauty. Look deeper. Look for the incredible engineering that holds millions of gallons of water on a vertical cliffside without a single drop of cement. Look for the muddy footprints of the buffalo, the loyal partner of the mountains. Look for the vibrant colors of the sticky rice, a meal that honors the elements of the universe. And most importantly, look for the bent back of the farmer, planting a seedling in the clouds. This is extreme agriculture at its finest. It is proof that human ingenuity, combined with sheer grit, can turn the most inhospitable places on earth into a garden of abundance. So, the next time you eat a bowl of rice, pause for a second. Think of the mountains of Vietnam. Think of the water flowing down the bamboo pipes. And think of the people who walk the stairway to heaven every single day to bring life from the rock. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you were amazed by the ingenuity of these sky farmers, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of how humans survive in the most extreme places on Earth. And tell me in the comments, would you be brave enough to walk on those narrow terrace edges to harvest your dinner? See you in the next adventure.